So a picture of Paul George and Gordon Hayward has been doing rounds on the internet recently as the last members of the 2010 NBA draft class still in the league, which prompts exploring the average duration of an NBA player's career. A 2016 research by Davon Norris, who doubles up as a sociological professor, established that, even with the same statistics, black players in the NBA have a 30% chance of leaving the league in any given season than white players with an equivalent performance on the court. Note that this research significantly focused on bench players who comprise the majority of those in the league, although they average less than 20 minutes of action per matchup. These findings affirm that even in the NBA, there is a merit to being white for most. Remember to subscribe as we proceed. The study co-author christened Corey Moss Peck deems the disparity as overt, especially when explored based on career lengths, considering that both white and black players leave the league at the same rate, affirming that the disparity effects are evident when accounting for performance. Despite the data emphasizing that black players tend to be better than whites, which should further translate to longer careers, that is not the case. The study was published in Social Forces Journal, and it reviewed the career lengths for all NBA players commencing their careers in or after the 1979-1980 season through the end of the 2016-2017 season, while factoring a final sample of 2,611 players categorized as black, white, or international. The study considers the average career length in the NBA as only 5 years, stemming from teams severing links or terminating player contracts before they decide to leave. The researchers applied the same advanced metrics utilized by NBA teams, including offensive win shares, player efficiency rating, and defensive win shares that further rely on a cocktail of stats such as points scored, steals, rebounds, and blocks as appraisal tools. The researchers divided players into main players versus starters with more than 30 minutes on the court per matchup, role players with approximately 20 to 30 minutes per matchup, and bench players with less than 20 minutes per matchup. And after factoring on court performance, stark differences emerged in how long equally effective white and black players remained in the league. For instance, factoring the defensive wins shares statistic that quantifies the ability to shield opposing teams from scoring. The researchers matched the career length for black and white players who were identical on this statistic, at the 50th percentile. The fraction of white players at this level that left the league by their 5th season was 26%, comparatively lower than the 33% of black players who performed just as well although were no longer in the league after 5 years. Not everyone in the NBA was treated correspondingly. For players that started games, a minimal difference in career length depicted based on race, while for role players, black players featured as disadvantaged, although the difference was too small to be statistically important. A major difference in bench players based on race, depicted as half of black players and 65% of white players in the NBA were categorized as bench players in the study. The study deems white bench players as more privileged than blacks, stemming from the cultural stereotype that white men idiosyncratically lack ability at basketball, while affirming that it has a small influence on the longevity of their career in the league. The study views blacks distinctively from their white teammates off the court, although bench players may be more cherished for their locker room presence, or for being a reliable teammate, than for their in-game performance. However, concepts such as good teammate are probably racialized in a biased manner that profits white players. White players fit more contentedly into such organizations and team roles, although there is a need for further research to directly explore whether black and white bench players are deemed distinctively in the media by players, fans, or by stakeholders. Based on the research, the results comprise of effects that transcend the NBA, as they suggest that endeavors to objectively assess employee effectiveness does not suffice to eliminate discrimination. Inasmuch as NBA franchises have the statistics to assess productivity and differentiate bad from good players, disadvantages still persist, affirming the presence of covert organizational and structural processes that dent the best efforts for objectively measuring performance.